This is Shadowfang Keep as a fire mage. I'm not an expert at this game, this is not a dungeon guide, this represents my personal experience with a random dungeon group. So let's spend some more time with the little fox mage here. Been running her through a lot of dungeons just because she makes me really happy to play. It's just fun. Mage is cool and I like playing this particular mage. Right, okay, so looks like we got a brewmaster here. What kind of healer is that? Well, it's gonna be either a priest or a mistweaver, because I think that's the only thing undead characters get access to healer-wise. Probably priest. Zappy boy, what are you? Is that a shaman, I think? Okay, yeah, so discipline priest. Neat. Got a discipline priest here. I saw the penance going off. And then a shadow priest. So discipline shadow, that looks like an enhancement shaman to me. Yeah. Alright, cool. So yeah, I'm not going to show every run that I do with this mage. I've already skipped Dead Mines that I did, which was cool, but nothing all that interesting happened. This one was a lot of fun. I learned a little better how to use my abilities. I think you'll see a few more flame strikes. Here I'm hard casting it. That's almost never the thing to do. Still figuring it out. So yeah, fire mage. Still all about the criticals. Quiet and calm, just hit fireball a bunch, then suddenly whoosh whoosh whoosh. You get this hot streak and get to do lots of cool things with it. Cool things being usually either pyroblasts or flame strikes. So yeah, both of those have a real long cast time. There were 3 things there, so that was correct. The threshold, as far as I can tell, is if there are 3 targets I want a flame strike. If there are 2 or fewer, I want pyroblast. To get the maximum damage out of it. My number 7 ability, I'm not sure I talked about that when I did Ragefire Chasm. That's Bag of Tricks. So that's a Volpera racial ability, which has a long cooldown but is super strong when you use it. If you have a hostile target, it deals a very large amount of damage, like more than a pyroblast. If you have a friendly target, it deals a pretty good amount of healing. But it has a... what is it, like 1 minute cooldown? It's a little less than that. 45 seconds? Something like that. Long enough that you probably won't use it more than like twice in one encounter. In encounters like these, you probably won't use it twice. I haven't used it yet, because I'm kind of forgetting that it's there. You'll see it later, though. Right, and recall that this boss asphyxiates, brings everybody all the way down, restores our health, so even though it looks like we're about to die, it's nothing to worry about. If he dies before Stay of Execution goes off, I'll bet you exit this battle with, like, 1 health for everybody. Which is fine, because then you're out of combat, and you have to wait a while here for Deathstalker Commander Belmont to open the door. So natural regeneration and stuff is going to happen anyway, even if the healer doesn't bother. I was going back down here to check if I needed to talk to him to get him to do stuff. If you did, somebody already did it. I think he just does things automatically. Also, I think you get a different character here if you're playing Alliance. You probably wouldn't have one of those, one of the Forsaken helping you out here on that faction. So low-level brewmaster here. It was commented on in another dungeon I did later with this character, and I kind of experienced this as I was leveling, as few brewmasters as I saw, but as they level up, they take a lot more damage than other tank types for some reason. Just something about their toolkit makes them a little bit squishier as they, you know, before they're at max level with all their tools than the other ones that I'm used to. I do still want to level 1 at some point to experience this for myself. I was kind of hoping that, like, for all the characters beyond Farron, my monk, that I level, I'd try, like, all of the specs that are available to them as I'm leveling through dungeons, but even without the... I think it's either Pandaren or Monk gets a passive experience bonus from everything, so that was speeding up her leveling. There was also Enlightenment that I could get if I go to the Monk... Kunlai Summit Monk Sanctum place you can teleport to with Zan Pilgrimage, and do a daily quest to get an experience bonus there. I created her during the 15th anniversary World of Warcraft celebration, which gives everybody a 15% experience bonus. So I had a lot of bonuses going on. I thought that my experience with her, where she leveled kind of almost faster than I wanted her to, I could barely fit in all the dungeons I wanted to do, was perhaps just because of all of those experience bonuses. But I'm finding with this character, just doing each dungeon once is pretty much... Like, I'm trying to do each dungeon once with her in case interesting things happen in it, and, you know, to have another run through it in preparation for the tank role. I am still having trouble... I'm not really having trouble fitting those in, but I'm not finding, like, huge amounts of running the same dungeon over and over, which is where I would try, like, Frost or Arcane. So I figured, you know, when I run out of dungeons that I can queue for, I'll switch over to Frost and try and figure out how that works and play one of the dungeons I've already done, and see how that is. But yeah, it hasn't worked out that way. I've also, let's see, these kind of all came at once. I was working on the faction reputation that I needed for Volpera. That was my top priority. Also wanted Zandalari Troll, and Maghar Orc, and Nightborn, and High Mountain Tauren. All the allied races. I want access to everything. At this point, I do have Maghar Orc. That happened first, actually. That was the easiest one to get. It just kind of happened automatically as I was working on the others. I haven't created my... It's going to be a priest, is my plan for that allied race. Priest is a low priority for me right now, so I'm just not bothering. I wanted Zandalari Trolls for Paladin. And I just unlocked them today and created my Paladin character, but I haven't played with it much at all. Haven't done a single dungeon yet. That's going to be the tank that I level. In addition to a druid someday, that'll be High Mountain Tauren. Those come from a different expansion, and I'll have to go out of my way to get them. Not sure what that entails yet. But I have 3 allied races unlocked, so that's neat. Why did I not use my hot streak there? I had one up. I could have pyroblasted. I just let that go to waste, didn't I? Or did I pyroblast and didn't notice? Anyway, yeah, so let's see. There are some real interesting timing considerations. Oh hey, I used my bag of tricks. I see that it's on cooldown. One of the only times you'll hear this character's voice. Either when she throws the bag or when she takes damage. Anyway, yeah, so lots of real interesting timing considerations as a fire mage. So I don't have the fire starter talent activated right here. I'll talk about that later when I do. But once I get a critical with a fireball, if my fire blast is not on cooldown, I can use it while I'm casting the next fireball in order to activate a hot streak. Then what I really want to do is while the second fireball that I was casting while fire blasting... oh, somebody died. Whoops. She was taking a lot of damage somehow. While the second fireball was in flight... I guess it doesn't have to be. Yeah, so I want, while the second fireball is in flight, I'm going to press the pyroblast button to get that out. So you can't ruin a hot streak with a non-critical. You can lose heating up. So if you get a critical, then a non-critical, your heating up doesn't turn into a hot streak and you don't get the free pyroblast or, what's that called? Flame strike. So wait, why do I specifically want a pyroblast before the second fireball lands? I had a reason. I don't know. I enjoy the complexity of playing this class and like all the... Somebody interrupted me and I was fire locked. All the considerations. There are a lot of little optimizations to make. Different talent builds and stuff. Yeah, so Firestarter is a talent that I could have selected here, which will guarantee a critical strike on any fireball or pyroblast that lands on a target above 90% health. So basically that means if I can land one of those two spells on anything at the start of combat before all my other group members have taken it below 90%, then I know for sure, as long as I can Fire Blast, that I can activate a Hot Streak and get a Pyroblast or a Flame Strike. It's hard to time though, because like the first 10% of health goes pretty quick. So a lot of the time I try to pre-cast Fireball, or if I have like 4 seconds of warning, try to pre-cast Pyroblast and time it so that it lands right as the tank engages a boss. Without like group communication and stuff, that's kind of tough to coordinate. So I just try to guess the timing. I don't want it to land first because then I'll get the initial threat of the encounter, and the tank will have to do an extra thing, do a taunt or do a heavy hit to get it off me. So later on you might see me starting a Pyroblast, cancelling it if the pull hasn't happened as early as I expect, then start one again. Because yeah, like at the very beginning of an encounter is the one time you would want to hardcast Pyroblast, because oh hey, she died again. Okay, Shadow Priest's having some problems. In a few levels, I will get Dragon's Breath, which turns into one of my most important abilities. It changes a lot about the way that I play this. So yeah, unless something super interesting happens in between, maybe next dungeon I'll show what this character is post-Dragon's Breath. And I think that was also right around the time I fixed my talents to take Firestarter. Okay, we were down a damage dealer, so that's probably why that seemed to take a bit longer than usual. Shaman spells have turned so watery. They didn't used to look like that back when I played Restoration Shaman. A lot of spell effects have changed. Fire wasn't quite so fooshy before. It's very satisfying the way it is now. It was good before, it's better now. So yeah, a whole quest chain going on here with this guy. Turn it in, pick up the next one. Straightforward enough. All of these people knew to wait next to him until he gave permission to turn in the quest. I had forgotten because it'd been a while since I'd been here. Could I see how many people there were there? There were 3, so that was above the Flame Strike threshold. So that was the one of those 2 that I wanted. So I was kind of pre-fireballing there because the Brewmaster hadn't actually gained that Wailing Guardsman's attention. It was latched onto somebody else. I just assumed he would by the time the spell went off. Just get into a flow with the party. Try to adjust your timing to however they tend to do things. And yeah, there's a lot of having to stand still. I can move around while I'm casting Scorch, but Scorch is pretty weak. I don't really ever want to cast it unless I absolutely have to move, and can't be doing something else while moving, like, say, a free Pyroblast. And once I get Dragon's Breath, I'm going to be wanting to move a lot more. Yeah, Fire Mage is just super fun to play. It's one of my favorite things. I remembered it feeling good, and it definitely still does. I decide I want things in a different order. I don't think I leave them that way. Gargoyle's Fear, but there's really no trouble to get into here. I think there are like 2 patrolling Geists you can gain the attention of, but they're not a big deal. 2 more gargoyles here that can come to life. There are the Geists. Coming up the hallway. Are they going to see me first? They are. Alright, they're on me. So I don't have Flame Shield active, or whatever it's called. I don't have it on the bar. Oh, maybe that's an ability I don't have yet. Why did I Frost Nova? I have no idea what I was trying to accomplish there. Maybe I thought they were still on me and I wanted to just get away. So yeah, Frost Nova, my number 6. Just everything around me gets encased in ice, or at least its feet do, so that it can't move for a moment. And I can get out of melee range, basically. Fire Blast doesn't have a target limit on it or anything as far as I know, so the more things that are grouped up, the more total damage it's gonna do. Ooh, Brewmaster's hurting a lot. Healer's having trouble keeping up. Using Scorch here, this is an annoying spot where it's easy to get out of line of sight of things. Also, he interrupts. How rude. Still a little clumsy with my fingers here, I can tell. I haven't totally gotten used to the buttons I have to press to play this well. Had a free Fire Blast, wanted to use it. Yeah, so Hot Streak lasts a lot longer than heating up, so if I end combat with a hot streak, it's reasonably likely, like I have here, that in the next 10 seconds we'll be in another encounter and it won't be wasted. Double the normal Ignite damage. I don't think Ignite is a thing I have yet. So that's talking about something for the future. Let's see, Combustion is not Ignite. Yeah, Ignite is Mastery, isn't it? So that's level 78. That's going to be a long time before I get there. I say that, but this character gained like 28 levels or something in the first weekend she existed. I think she's level mid to high 40s now. Started at 20, so... yeah, experience gain is very quick, even for non-monks, and not having the 15th anniversary experience buff and all that stuff. This boss does a bunch of party-wide damage. There's nothing visible I'm standing in, so I'm just kind of taking that damage. See, here's the visible stuff that I can move out of. Let's see, Shaman healing abilities. What do they have for group-wide healing? I remember a spell called Chain Heal. Maybe that was it going on there? It certainly wasn't being cast mid-combat there. That's what a Pandaren roar sounds like. They roar like a bear. That was what a troll roar sounds like. It's a little less impressive. I had turned on emote sounds for some reason, kind of just because I wanted to hear what this character's voice was like, but then I didn't use any emotes, so I still don't really know. And then I regret that decision in a moment in here, as you'll see momentarily. Having emote sounds on is just an opportunity to be annoyed by a lot of unnecessary noises. I'm very glad there's an option to turn it off. That spear is sticking right through your cloak. That's awkward. Scorch is also something I decide to cast sometimes when I'm... that's the description of heating up, by the way. When something is almost dead and I think it would die before a fireball would go off. So like if I have a chance to have a spell actually go off before the thing dies, and that chance is greater when it's a shorter cast of Scorch, then that's what I'll choose. I think I cast Scorch by accident there when I was aiming for Pyroblast, just because I swapped my 3 and 4. Is this when I swap it back? I know that happens at some point. Yeah, there's that Scorch going off again. My fingers are remembering the other way, and I liked it better that way. When do I fix it? Not yet, apparently. There it is. Let's not have that. The most annoying emote. I don't know why it exists. I hate it so much. I've always hated that one. Why would you ever want to make train noises? Why does that even exist in this game? There's a toy you can put on the ground that makes everybody around do that emote against their will. It's the worst thing. There's another toy that exists for the sole purpose of destroying the train toy that makes everybody do that. It's kind of ridiculous. I thought I remembered that during this run, the boss's attention was gained while we were also fighting the pustulant monstrosities down there. I must have done this, like, randomed into a second Shadowfang keep on this character where that had happened, because that wasn't this run, apparently. I don't know what those tentacles are. It might be a Shadow Priest thing? Zappy Boy's Guardian. No, Zappy Boy's the Shaman. That does not seem like a very characteristic shaman ability. Yeah, I see them all over the place, but I don't know where they come from. Okay, there was Bag of Tricks. You throw it, it takes a moment to land, but does a lot of damage when it does. Pistol Barrage, very easy to dodge when you're standing at range like this. Only threatening thing in this fight. Don't stand where he's shooting, and you'll be fine. Ah, I gained Counterspell, and it automatically put it on my action bar. That's fine when there's room, it's not fine when there's not, and it forces me to have an extra action bar until I turn it off. I'm constantly fighting with the UI to have the number of action bars that I want, which is 1. But the game insists on giving me more every time I get a new ability. Alright, that was Shadowfang Keep. See you for the next one.